right, we are going to do a fun video, and I've saved a couple of videos that people posted after they've been on the REDNOTE social media app from China, also known as Xiaohongshu or Little Red Book. This is how they call it in China. This is your favorite half Chinese. It's going to be a fun video. I hope everybody will enjoy. It's also going to be very interesting to see how Americans actually reacted after being exposed to the real China. So first, something fun. This is a video. This was actually made with AI, a whole video. I've seen the whole video where this Chinese terracotta soldier is impregnating the Statue of Liberty. That was quite funny how they actually made fun, right? Let's see the following video.
American people have been on Xiaohongshu for 2 days, and I literally just stumbled across a live with Chinese people explaining to American people why communist countries are better because they don't privatize necessities for life. Necessities such as food, healthcare, water, housing. 我讨厌美国. Not only do they dress better than us, they are fed, they have homes, they have healthcare. In America, we have Sean King. In China, they have Chongqing, a city that is over 4 times the size of New York, and they've managed to nearly eradicate homelessness. I'm not even joking when I say this. If you guys are afraid of China, crowdfund me a trip there, and I will literally go and see how it is for myself.
You also can crowdfund me a trip there.
I'm so tired of America saying that China is the bad guy while simultaneously funding multiple genocides in this country. America literally just chased us off an app onto a platform that is called Little Red Notebook in reference to Mao Zedong's Little Red Notebook of Chinese propaganda.
Well, that actually isn't true, because the what we call in the West, the Little Red Book, is not how you call it in China. It is not called the Little Red Book. So this app is called Xiaohongshu, and it's translated to Little Red Book, but it has nothing to do with the Book of Mao. That one is just called a Red Book or a Red Treasure Book or something like that, or quotations of Mao. It's not named the Little Red Book, so the app isn't named after the Little Red Book. Not at all, not at all. But yeah, I can see the misunderstanding, because in the West we are calling it like that.
Communists are literally running laps around us, and it is quite embarrassing as an American. I'm not going to lie.
You're telling me for 59 yuan or $8, you can get this entire feast?
Yeah, you can.
We are literally paying $12 right? more than you for the same stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's an American-based company. They exploit us more than they exploit you. Damn.
And this is a true thing. Not only is America exploiting many other countries of the world to the point that these people are really, really suffering, but they're also doing it to their own people. And I think it is a wise lesson for the Americans to start to interest themselves a little bit in how that exploitation exactly works. One thing is for sure, you're paying way too much. And it is unbelievable that many of you are having a job and living on the street.
In 2022, China's megacity Chongqing was also besieged by wildfires like LA. The fires raged under conditions that were arguably even more difficult than LA. The response was an extraordinary coordination between state and society. Firefighting teams from multiple provinces worked alongside tens of thousands of local volunteers who formed human chains up the mountain's 60-degree slopes to pass equipment hand by hand. Motocross riders with no paved roads, only motocross could reach the fire, formed supply chains up narrow mountain paths. Using tactics like controlled burning, fighting fire with fire, the collective efforts managed to contain the blaze in just 8 days, despite temperatures above 104 degrees Fahrenheit. The state provided the command.
Yeah, so this is what is going to nag the Chinese or the American people really a lot. Like, why is it that China can respond so quickly and so swiftly when they have a natural disaster? Because they often have one. And we, who are supposed to be a developed nation, cannot. And we see just literally everything burning around, and the government is not doing anything. On top of that, they are only paying the people like, what was it, $750? Your whole entire life is over, and you get $750 when you have to pay $20 for one meal at KFC. Just this is going to, people have to wake up to that fact.
This whole time I thought they were just afraid of us learning about other philosophies, other political ideologies, because that would threaten this late stage capitalism that we're in. Well, it's simpler than that. They can afford groceries on the other side of the world. One of the biggest.
Yeah, that is something that I heard a lot from the Americans. They can afford groceries, especially most often that I heard was they can afford fresh produce. I didn't know that Americans literally nowadays cannot afford fresh produce. It's just a shame. By the way, in the Netherlands, it's getting more and more expensive too. Luckily, I live in The Hague, so we're having a real big farmer market, as we would call it in the United States or Canada. And there you can still buy very, very cheap your fresh produce. But when you go to the supermarket, it sometimes is 5 times or 4 or 5 times more expensive than on the fresh market or the farmer market, whatever you want to call it.
Biggest countries in the world, the biggest population.
Yeah, that's capitalism.
Every time we talked about the healthcare system, the pharmaceutical, the food, the pew-pew lack thereof regulations. Every time we pulled examples from other Western countries, what is the thing they always come back with? Well, they have a population of 50 million and we have 350 million, so it would never work here. It would never work here. It would never work here. Tell me why they're eating fresh food for 90 cents.
Yep.
US.
Yep. And some is even imported.
Yeah, the conversion, but people are in beautiful apartments. They're eating fresh food.
Yep.
They are enjoying and celebrating their history and their culture.
I'm jealous too. I'm jealous too, my girl. I'm jealous too.
Deodorant is $11 here. The minimum wage is $7.25 pre-tax. Hasn't moved in decades. In no county in the entire United States could you work 40 hours a week at a minimum wage job and be able to afford a 1-bedroom apartment. That is the point of minimum wage.
That is also how they keep you enslaved, right? Because you cannot leave, because what else are you going to have? And this is also the reason why so many people are living on the street while they're having a job. And then I heard this thing a lot the last couple of years from Americans, and they say it's a choice. Some people choose. No, they don't. No, they don't. If it was, why is nobody living on the street in China? Well, at extremely low percentage, right? You can walk many cities and you will never see a homeless person. It's not a choice. I have heard a lot of people wanting to live in a mansion. I've never heard anybody saying I would like to live in a cardboard in on the street. Never. It doesn't exist. Don't let the people fool you with their propaganda, all right?
All goes back to what every single revolution is about, always. Food.
Yeah. She's right. And America should take note of this, because this is actually also how the revolution in China started. Many people are always blaming Mao Zedong for famine, right? You know how many famines there was before him? A ton more. And people were just literally dropping dead on the street. Just imagine that. You're sitting with your friend talking and he just falls and he's gone. That's a real situation, what happened there. And that is why the people came in resistance and started to fight their own government, right? This was the people against the government because they literally had nothing to eat anymore. It was that poor at that moment.
As in, they really, it's not even just, oh, we need to make sure that they know that these other forms of government will never work. They don't work. Okay, I don't have a PhD in economics or in social, political climate, international politics, whatever. But what I do know is that they're eating good and fresh over there,
They sure do.
inexpensively.
Yeah, I'm
And
jealous.
we're not. I recently had an income increase, and the first thing I did was go to the grocery store. I am
Good for you,
not
girl.
kidding. I didn't even ball out, but I spent $250 on food.
Oh yeah, I saw a very young couple at our local supermarket, and they had to pay, like, I forgot what the number was. I believe it was 160 or 200, something like that. It could have been 260 or 160. It was something like that. And I saw the tears literally in their eyes. A very young couple, probably first time that they moved out of their home, and now they have to pay their own groceries. Yeah, that's gross.
The second thing I did is I went and I got things like tissues to put in every room. Instead of getting one tissue box for the whole apartment, I put one in every room. I have soap. I just mean backup soap. Like normally I would have one little thing for a backup. I got 5 backups now.
Just imagine, this is an American girl living in a country which has the most money in the world. And she's talking about the most normal basic things you have, like some extra tissues and some soap, right? As a luxury. She's talking about it like it's a Louis Vuitton. Anyway,
Okay.
let's continue
This whole time I thought they were
the
just
new
afraid
video.
of us learning.
This comment, what do they say? China is living
I'm not
large, my
laughing
Chinese
at you,
friends,
I'm
and
laughing
I've been sending
at us,
each other
with
videos
us so
and
that we don't
pictures.
cry.
I'm so
sorry,
embarrassed.
because
I've been trying to send my best stuff. Yeah.
so on Xiao Hongshu, we've been doing the cultural exchange, right? We've been showing our cats and dogs. We've been showing, like our music and our art. And I've seen a lot of like different Native American tribes posting stuff is great. I love all of that. I love even, people posting like what they're cooking. It's
Yeah, I
just
love the
that
cooking videos
We
too.
all know
Especially the drinks also, yeah.
anything that the Chinese users of Little Red Book can. Sorry, young.
It wasn't always like that. When I'm a lot older than all these young kids, of course, unfortunately. But what I see, what they're doing now is just amazing. Who would have thought? In the past, our food looked very, very basic. If we had a duck, it was like, oh, wow, luxury, right? But now the things that they make and how they make it look, it's so it's great. We in the West have nothing on that, really. Everybody, if you like cooking and all these kind of things, especially when you like cute food, they make the cutest things with food you cannot imagine.
Yeah. I was up all night on the app. Of course, the Americans are asking questions like about the one child policies. Okay,
Oh,
fine.
yeah.
Chinese people are so nice and welcoming. They're like, oh, why doesn't everybody show their work lunches? They are saying it to be like polite and welcoming and to have a conversation starter. And people are like, oh, here's this Red Bull and Lay's chips from the vending machine that I have for lunch. Or some people are like, at best, I have this salad. But like, my heart was breaking. I gotta move on. We're like, oh, this is my apartment. It's $300 US dollars a month. My utilities are $16. This is $17. And it's really nice. And again, like I said, I understand the conversion, but the social health care and they get bullet trains in their cities. Like it's clean and all this. And they're like, oh, show us yours. Like, what does the average American home look like? Honey, it's crumbling, burning down. Like,
Oh yeah, you definitely don't want to see my place, which I rent for 835 euros a month. I feel ashamed. It's just not only in America, but in most capitalist nations nowadays, it is like that. If you don't have a real high income, you're going to live in a really, really worthless place. But yeah, let's see
I'm
what
not
she
trying
else.
to be facetious. So this girl, like, I'm trying to send them my best stuff. We're in a toxic relationship, abusive relationship right now with America, and we are finally now
We in the Netherlands are also like that in the
starting
same.
to see, I think, as a collective, that it's not normal for our partners to treat us this way. And right now, we're at that stage. Met new friends. Miracle, because he's cut us off from our old friends. They asked to see a picture of abusive partner, and he's ugly. You're like, oh, he looks better. He looks better in person. Oh, he's not really into Instagram. Oh, he and his friends, guys, they don't know how to take pictures. No, he's just fucking ugly.
Yeah, sometimes they're quite straightforward. Let's see the next one. Yeah, well, we're not going to have that music on for obvious reasons, right? But that is a Chinese song that says, in less than 48 hours, we tanked Meta stocks, learned Mandarin willingly, gave our data to China, made REDNOTE the number one most downloaded app, and accepted this song as our new national anthem. I love our country. Well,
Hold on, you're telling me it only costs 7 yuan for a sit-down meal at a restaurant? That is $1 here in the United States. With $1, you're lucky if you can get a single item off the McDonald's dollar menu. And it's going to be like French fries, a little tiny bag of them. But for a sit-down meal, that's going to cost us close to like $20 minimum. Like if you go to a restaurant, something like, a Denny's, you can maybe get away with like their $10 special for like a breakfast special, but still $1? 7 yuan? We need help. We need help in the States.
not only in the States, but also in the Netherlands, unfortunately, even a coffee is like $4.50 now. It's just a normal thing, right? But yeah, there's always an argument that people are making. The people in China making way less money. Yes, that is true, but their purchasing power is also the highest in the world. So they can even go on a holiday with half of our money. And we cannot even do that with all our money, right? At the end of the month, everything is gone and we just start over like we never had any money to start with, right?
U.S. government really thought they had us. I just learned how to make steamed eggs.
Yeah.
Ni hao, bitch. U.S. government really thought they had us.
Yeah, a lot of times I see now, I don't know, I didn't know that Americans love these steamed eggs. I mean, it's nice, but it's not that great of a dish. But it seems that Americans really, really are into these steamed eggs. Yeah, it's fun though. They pick up a lot of food. I also saw a lot of drinks that they are picking up, especially the ladies from when they are having their period. There's a special teas that they make, and it seems to also help Western women, fortunately for them.
It is entirely infuriating going to REDNOTE and then coming back here and immediately just wanting to share information, and all you get are trolls and in your comment section.
Yeah.
Like there's literally no reason for that type of rhetoric to be coming in when you're merely just sharing, the experience of people in different countries. But people will come into your comment sections and just be an asshole. That is a unique experience in America. I don't think that happens anywhere else. We are just a nation of f***ing assholes.
Well, it also is happening in the rest of Europe. I get a lot of times attacked, especially also when I go out. When they talk about China, they always try to force me to say something negative. When I'm not saying something negative, I will get the negative from them and I will be called a spy. It really happened. Or something else, whatever, right? I don't know what it is with the Western people, but there's this thing that they like to talk down on others. But yeah, why not just learn from each other's?
Tell me why it took TikTok possibly getting banned and a Chinese app for Americans to finally open their eyes. Because when Americans go on REDNOTE and see that Chinese people are pretty similar to them, that they also have families, friends, pets,
Yeah, they
great
do.
sense of humor,
Why
that
are you
they are
surprised?
nice, that they don't see Americans as their enemy, that China is beautiful and safe and clean, they realize they've been lied to. Why do you think they're so afraid of Americans seeing the truth? Because now on REDNOTE, they're seeing China is actually a lot more advanced than the United States in
They
many
sure
ways.
are, in many
and
ways.
even though their whole life they've been told that China is just some scary
Yeah.
communist country, they realize it's not. Now, as an American living in Russia, I hope that my fellow citizens can one day open their eyes about Russia as well. Because guess what? You've been lied to about this country too.
Yeah.
The people here don't hate you. They're very warm, very welcoming. It's beautiful. There's so much to see, discover. If Americans start to open their eyes and realize that the countries they've been told their whole life are actually not their enemy, that they want to be your friends, that they don't hate you, that we actually have so much in common, that's going to basically wipe out all the years of propaganda that the US government has fed to its own people. And imagine how much money has been put into that. That is
Billions and billions of dollars of your tax money, dear Americans.
exactly what they are afraid of. They are afraid of Americans knowing the truth. But the time has come, and through their own actions, they have caused Americans to download a Chinese app and to see it for themselves. Beautiful. The irony. While we don't have a REDNOTE equivalent that you can download here from Russia, you have me and my social media channels, and I will continue showing you the truth about this amazing country. So let's all
Alright,
get to know each
all go
other better
follow her.
and become
Sasha
friends,
meets
because that's
Russia.
exactly what we don't.
Anyway, as she says, the Chinese people really have no hate to other people whatsoever. I don't know why. I understand why, because of the propaganda. But there's no reason to think that Chinese people hate you guys or whatever. If any Chinese people would hate people in the West, that would be the Chinese diaspora. And the reason for that is because every day we are bombarded with lies and being attacked. And when we are saying something like it's not true, we are being labeled a spy or a commie, whatever that means, or, whatever, brainwashed. Uneducated, and it's going to create some hate. So stop it. Let's see.
I really think America has made a huge mistake when banning this app, because now that we're all on REDNOTE, we're actually learning that a lot of the crap that they've been talking about China is absolutely not true. We're like, wait a second, you guys have universal health care? You don't have to pay for an ambulance when you get picked up to the hospital. You have amazing cars for very low prices. Huawei, the
I want to
amazing
have
phones
that
they
ice
have
cream.
are also so much better than iPhones.
That's
and all of that
definitely
is
true.
forbidden here. We can
Huawei is the best telephone that you can get by far. I do not know another brand that matches it. Honestly, I had one, and it was outside, raining for 4 days, and it was still functioning, and the battery was still there. It was just openly in the rain. Honestly.
We cannot have any of that. Wait a second, you can walk at night outside and not be afraid? There's no mass unalivings in school? What? What's that like?
Yeah, that they definitely don't know. There's no gun violence in China. The people are not allowed to own guns.
And I had someone comment on my REDNOTE being like, now that you're here, I hope you can see that we're not the beasts that, your news made us seem to be. And I was like, we never thought you guys were. I feel like we always knew it was bullshit. And yeah, no country's perfect. There's a lot of issues everywhere in this world.
I have to kind of disagree with that. Obviously, she didn't think like that, but many Americans, I post obviously a lot on social media. So, but there are many, many Americans that really, really think that we are some sort of an animal or whatever.
But it's very interesting. We're learning much more, I think, than they wanted us to know.
Yeah.
And I think that's not a very good idea for our government. Also, I'm shocked by how quickly people are picking up Mandarin. Like,
Yeah,
I
me
feel
too.
like you guys need to teach me how
They're
do I
doing
do this
better
as
than
quickly
me.
as you, because it's
Anyway,
incredible.
next video.
Like,
Hi guys, it's Pui from China. I'm sure you're interested in how much living costs to anyone
Ah,
day,
yeah,
right?
this
So
is
today I'm
fun.
going to show you. First,
Because now a lot of local Chinese also come to TikTok because they have made friends everywhere on Xiaohongshu from America and from other places in the West. So let's see.
I'll take Didi to work. So that's the first cost. Then our first cost is my makeup. Then coffee. I think I really need coffee, either homemade or takeout. Then we come to lunchtime. This is my fried rice.
Oh, that looks good.
And then also now I'm going to the metro station. Usually I go to the company by Didi because I cannot get up early in the morning. So I have to pay for this. But when I go home, I choose metro to save money. Working class. 30 minutes, I get off the metro and now I go to the grocery to buy me some food. This looks nice. This is jiaozi and wonton. I think you guys know it. Wonton 8. And the jiaozi I have a lot. In total, 30 RMB. I just cannot stay in the market too long because I cannot control my hand to spend money. So I'm planning.
I'm so
Give me some
jealous when I
bread
look
and
at
then
all
just
these
leave.
prices, right?
I found a discount one. Oh my god, SOS. They're speaking to me.
I'm getting hungry.
Chocolate.
Yes, the red envelope. Every kid's little dream.
Okay, my simple dinner finished.
Well, enjoy your food. We're going to the next video.
Okay, have we seen the nail game on REDNOTE in Asia?
Oh, yeah,
They're
those
on
are
a
next level.
completely
The art,
different
yeah.
level. Oh no, these look expensive.
Yeah.
Government has been lying to us about China for decades. Now that we've all gotten on REDNOTE and we can see the lifestyle that all of the Chinese people have, a lot of us Americans are pissed. The price of going out to eat, the price of groceries,
Yeah.
public transportation. And the people on REDNOTE are so flabbergasted that we have to work 2 jobs just to keep our roof over our head. US government,
It's also insane to think about, right? You shouldn't have to be forced to work 2 jobs just to sustain your living.
up big time, which is not a surprise because you do it constantly. Even if TikTok gets banned, I've seen enough. I have been woken up. I grew up fed propaganda that China is evil and that they treat their citizens like shit. I mean, I was raised by MAGA. It's the main reason why I feel so radicalized.
The
American
other side would be the
American
same.
society
Honey.
is toxic, gross, poisonous. They poison our food. They jack the prices up of everything. We don't get health care. We don't get good public transportation, even though we're all on the same continent. We destroy the planet for money, power, and control.
That's
Our
true.
government is funky as on the left and on the right. Don't get it twisted. This is a class war, and I will not be giving this fight up. We deserve sovereignty and real freedom.
Americans are really, really waking up. The problem is now TikTok isn't banned. They are back at TikTok again, and they will soon forget about whatever it is that they saw. And, it's just sad. Just 2 days on REDNOTE and I've discovered the Chinese credit system is BS propaganda spread by the US government. Yes, because they have asked the Chinese people, and most Chinese people don't even have a clue what you are all talking about. But yeah, some people find it very hard to believe, and I see it a lot in my comments also. Oh, plus 1,000 social credit score points and whatever. It's just dumb to think like that, especially on how the West portrays it.
I just want to make this clear. If it's ever like I have to pick the US or China, I'm picking China. If we go to war with China, I'm defecting to China.
Me too.
If they're like, oh, we're going to do a draft and you have to go fight. Nope. Immediately giving all secrets to China.
I'm with you, girl.
Loose lips sink ships, and I'm going to be sinking every U.S. ship with my fucking blabbermouth.
I'm ready.
China can have my data. China can have my passwords. China can have my secrets. China can know everything about me. What the fuck is REDNOTE? Give me that. I'm signing up for that.
I've been on Xiaohongshu for like 3 days, and they're already bullying me into leading a healthier life.
This
I was
one is
watching
so
all those,
funny.
cooking videos where they make stuff in like the rice cookers, and I was like, oh, these look amazing, but I don't eat rice. And they're like, no, you can't do that. It's all well and good. You're going to learn Mandarin, but you got to start eating some rice. And they said, make sure you find one that has like a little steaming basket because you're an American and you
This
probably
is
don't eat enough
hilarious.
veggies. And then I got like the little electric kettle because they're like, yeah, you got to stop drinking soda, like try teas and warm water and stuff like that. So, yeah,
Good for
it's
you.
been 3 days and the Chinese are already bullying me into leading a healthier life. I love those people.
They are eating much, much more healthier than Americans. And I see a lot of Americans also picking up a lot of the way that Chinese people food. So good for you. You will be much more healthier than eating all that crap that they're trying to sell you for such a high price. Yeah. That's
so. I'm going over the community guidelines for Xiaohongshu, and it's really
this is very
interesting to see
interesting.
how they started out. In the first paragraphs, it literally reads, "Wealth is hard to come by and is still scarce for most people.
Yeah.
Therefore, if you have relatively more wealth, please have empathy in the process of sharing consumption. Take the initiative to consider the feelings of others, avoid waste, and respect workers/service workers."
Yeah.
The Little Red Book community has a large number of content to share, the consumption process and results to provide reference and suggestions for everyone. So whether it is useful to others will be an important criterion for judging the behavior of, quote, showing off wealth. Fiction and
Yeah, there actually have been people taken off the internet for, not wanting to listening to those kind of things. And it all makes sense, right? Because a lot of especially the youth, is very unhappy because they cannot keep up. And you see also a lot of these so-called influencers having all these fake bags and all these fake hauls of fake brands and everything. And kids are kids and young people are young people, and they are very sentimental about it, and their feelings are being hurt. And I think social media should be, to give a lot of joy to people instead of making people feel sad, and also be very informative. I think it's a really great rule. And actually, I was surprised that so many Americans actually agreed with this, and also the other Western people that also joined REDNOTE. Actually, nobody was against the TOS of Xiaohongshu. This one, I love my beautiful president Xi Jinping. Glory to the CCP. That's funny, man. That's so funny.
So this past week, I've been kind of addicted to being on TikTok, because I think what we're seeing right now, what we're seeing happening in the United States, and with the whole TikTok ban, whether it's being enforced or not, is nothing short of revolutionary. I think this is going to be in the fucking history books.
It could be.
Because I see so many American people posting videos about how they're waking up, how they're connecting to Chinese people, how they're waking up to their own governments.
Yeah, and this is the most important thing, is connecting to people. People-to-people exchange is much more powerful than whatever a government or media wants to tell you. Because if you are connected to people who are actually living the life, so to say, you can ask any questions and you will know that they're not going to BS you like our media and governments often do.
Deceit, and it's beautiful to watch how something so kind of sensory and horrible, like a TikTok ban, actually moves people to have an entirely different experience that they wouldn't have had without TikTok, and or without the ban. Nobody would move to REDNOTE. And now that's
the most funny thing, right? If they would not try to ban TikTok, many Americans would still think that China is really bad, etc.
So many people do and have these different experiences, or are confronted with different experiences. It's amazing what happens. I've literally been brought to tears seeing some videos of how people connecting and how much everybody really wants to connect, and how it's actually our governments and the people in power that are trying to manage our freedoms and our abilities to connect with one another. And I am so curious to see where this is going. But with all the hopelessness that is going on in the world, I've been following Palestine for the past, 16 months and the genocide there. And just feeling so hopeless at times. And I feel that what is going on right now is actually so hopeful. And it actually attests to the power of the people and their creativity and how innovative they are in finding new ways to express and to connect. So I'm rooting from the Netherlands. I'm rooting for you guys.
Yes,
this is just
from
awesome.
the Netherlands too.
And can't wait to see the good place that it will bring us all to.
I wonder how big that is and how much that is. That is 3 times the size of my apartment. That is practically a quarter of the price I pay each month. That's the cost per square foot you pay. That's the cost per square foot I pay. If I occupy the same space as you, I am paying 12.4 times more than you?
That's a rude awakening.
I hate America. I genuinely hate America.
Well, you shouldn't be hating America. You just should hate the system. And the system is capitalism. And that is what creates these extreme high prices. We have the same thing in the Netherlands. Don't worry about it. Just change the system.
I'm moving to China. New York City. I am moving to China tomorrow. So I go ahead and create my REDNOTE, right? And I'm thinking that this place is like North Korea. Like everybody's living in poverty. They're oppressed by their government. Oh my God.
I just really don't understand why people think like that it is really such a dark place. I do understand that they have so many, bad propaganda here in the West, but come on, you meet so many Chinese people. Why don't you ever ask them, right?
Is all I have to say. The first thing I say, you guys really have to work more than one job just to survive and like have a home and food? What? Americans are showing their medical bills and the Chinese don't know what to do. They're like, what? Like, they can't even believe it. They're like, ours is free. And when you go to the hospital, it's like $100, including treatment. And then people are showing their ambulance bills because our ambulances are thousands of dollars. Theirs is free.
Yep.
Free. And don't even get me started on the
Well, it isn't always free. It depends where you are, right?
Grocery haul. These people go in these grocery haul. Like, I've never even heard of that word here. Like, we're just like, eating crackers to survive here, to pay rent. Like, they're hauling groceries that like would be worth like $1,000 here, but for them, it's like nothing. And it's all healthy, high quality food. Hence why they're all skinny, gorgeous, and their skin is perfect. So,
well, they're also skinny because it is kind of the trend over there. And I think it's quite unhealthy to be that skinny. But on the other side, if I look here where everybody is overweight, then I think that skinny, that is a little bit more healthier than here. But I think we must find kind of a middle ground because some are just overdoing it, right?
So I just don't have words for this. And their trains look like they came out of the year 3000. Yeah. It literally looks like out of a freaking movie. And there's no homeless people.
The first class is so amazing. It's just like an airplane. It's just ridiculous.
Oh. And they're immaculate and like extremely high speed. Like New York City subway. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? Their cars and phones are 10 times more technologically advanced than ours.
Yeah.
And affordable. And you know what's funny? We can't have them here. We're not allowed. They're banned. They're banned.
Yeah.
And do not even look up Chinese kindergarten. Don't look it up.
And they're banned exactly for that reason. American companies do not like to compete. What they're doing is always destroying the competition, or they just simply buying or force the competition to sell to them. Like they're trying that with TikTok, because it is way cheaper to do that than to innovate. And yeah, that's how it goes. And that is why you see so much innovation in China and you have no innovation here in the West.
It'll make you so mad. I almost swan dove out my window when I saw Chinese kindergarten. Meanwhile, in our kindergarten, they can't even teach children like what's a boy and what's a girl. And they're teaching kids that they can identify as animals here in our country. So I don't think we're the problem. I really just don't think that we're the problem anymore. And this one's my favorite. They're all confirming that they don't have a social credit system like we've been told. But you know what we have over here?
I don't know why it's the people in the West have this idea about social credit system, which is just not truthful. What is really a social credit system? I don't even know if it's still in place. But it used to be only for companies. And, you know, people, normal, ordinary people have no idea what it is in China. It has no effect in their lives. But people in the West also think that when you just cross the road when the light is on red, you get points that they're taking off and they're going to not let you eat or lock you up. You know, it's just insane. Why would you think like that?
It's a credit score. We can barely do anything without it. So it's just almost like they're telling us that they have things that they don't, but we are the ones that actually have.
That's exactly true. That's 100% true, girl.
So if you want to ruin your day and cry yourself to sleep every night and rethink your entire life and society and everything you've ever been told, go make a REDNOTE.
So for my friends in China, I don't think that y'all realize how much of an impact you are having on all of us over here in America.
I also don't think that people know that exactly. I can see it. I see it as very, very revolutionary. I cannot play it because of the music, right? So we continue.
You know what's crazy is we could have had Bernie. They could have just let us have Bernie, but they didn't want socialism. And now you've got 170 million plus people who want communism. You know, it's...
No. So this is the mistake that a lot of Americans are making. Even if Bernie was in power, he wouldn't be able to turn it into socialism. It's not like a snap of the finger and you just, all of a sudden, your entire system has been changed. It's not working like that. It is a whole process that has to proceed. I would highly suggest that Americans learn a little bit about the revolution and what happened after 1949, all the things that had to be put in place. But in socialism, why it is very hard in America to apply is because your government, your entire government has been bought up by the capitalists. So they only will do and allow what the capitalists allow them to do and or tell them to do. So it doesn't matter which kind of president or party is in power. What you need to change first is abolish that system. Okay.
If you're going over to REDNOTE, remember, that's not our home. TikTok is our home. That's great. But TikTok's being shut down. We are refugees. We are going over to REDNOTE. If that's where we're going over to REDNOTE. We need to be respectful. We need to make sure that we recognize their culture and we need to fit into their culture. We're not there to make the place over. We're there to fit into the culture that already exists. Please don't screw this up. We're just visitors, and people on REDNOTE are being real nice and letting us in. But it's not our home, it's theirs.
I've seen a lot of these videos of Americans, and I was quite surprised that people were reminding everybody that, hey man, this is not our place, so just be respectful. And I was even more surprised that they actually could be respectful. Because as everybody knows, I post a ton, and a lot of times from Americans especially, I get a ton of unnice things.
Apparently, you're not supposed to be drinking ice water before and during your period, and if it's the winter time, you really shouldn't be drinking it if you have a lot of pain in your body. Painkillers are unheard of to be purchased in China, and it's that little tiny simple reason. You should be drinking warm or hot water. They're actually surprised.
A lot of girls are doing that now during their periods
in our country, drinking ice water. And if you have bad symptoms during your period, there's herbs that will relieve them completely.
Yeah.
I just love finding out how much we are gaslit in this country. It's
a lot.
Are you ready? All right. I'm sure that we have all experienced someone telling us when we talk about how bad it is here in America to go and see what the standard of living is in China. Well, we took your advice. But I can guarantee this was not the outcome they were expecting. Did you know in China that 95% of their population own their homes? Did you know in China that they have almost completely eradicated homelessness? It is 0.18% if you want to be exact. Did you know in China that there are no credit checks or credit scores? Did you know in China that law school is under $800 a year? Did you know that the people in China thought it was made up that the children here in the United States, well, the ones that can afford it, need to purchase a bulletproof book bag? Did you know that the people in China think that it's so wild that us Americans feel like we are truly free because we have the right to have opinions, but we don't have the right to make any choices? Do you know that?
That's very true. But also a lot of Chinese people were actually thinking that certain things that were said about the United States, that was actually government propaganda to make capitalism look bad. But now they have actually met real Americans living in the United States, obviously, have direct contact. They were like, what? That's true? Right? Yeah.
That TikTok is banned in China? And if you let our government explain it, it's because China's a communist country and they want to control what you see and what you say. So America is following the footsteps of a communist country, but it's not against our First Amendment rights taking it away. Got it. You see, they like to demonize socialism and communism because it does not benefit the elite. Our government is saying that it's constitutional what they're doing here with TikTok. Do you want to know what else is constitutional? The right to protest our government. The Declaration of Independence states that Americans have the right to replace their government. We have a right to change or abolish a government that is destructive to our rights. Biden gets on TV and warns us that an oligarchy is forming. My friends, we are already in an oligarchy. The rich and elite already control everything. These are all...
I'm not sure, is it an oligarchy or is it a plutocracy? Right, but the two are really closely related. But one thing is for sure, it is being run by the big capitalists, the so-called donors that are actually, donating, which in many other countries are considered as bribes, just like in China. Try that in China and you will see yourself in prison for the rest of your life, minimum. Because if you're not getting that life, you will be sent to death. That's how hard they are punishing that kind of briberies. But in the United States, they just legalize it. And that is why nothing is being done for the people. And that is why it is so rogue system that goes all over the world to start wars and everything on behest of those capitalists who then in turn can get their greedy hands on all those resources and cheap labor to exploit others, to get all those products for a very low price, to sell it very, very expensive to exactly this young man here.
all things that we already know, but things like, oh, I don't know, TikTok put it into a visual perspective. America has quite literally gaslit us when it comes to everything. We are aware, and they do not want that. Our American government thinks that we are all stupid. Pretty much everything is public access. You just need to go look for it. Have you seen how many politicians have bought stock in Meta since this TikTok ban has started?
And that's a problem. I think the people in government should not be allowed to hold stocks in other companies, because we can see what will happen, right? They will go for that interest. It's just a slippery slope.
Did you know that between Zuckerberg, Bezos, and Musk, that just those three men, that their net worth is almost $1 trillion? So we have over 40,000 veterans homeless on the street. Collectively, there are almost 700,000 homeless people in the United States. And did you know that there are almost 16 million vacant homes in the United States? Did you also know that over 50% of Americans are just one missed paycheck away from being on the streets? Did you know that they don't pay property taxes in China? So if they own their home and just so happen to lose their job, that is still their home until the day they die. Do you remember when I...
Yeah, and that only makes sense, right? You buy something, you already pay tax about it. Why should you keep paying tax? It doesn't make any sense. In the Netherlands, they're doing it the same way. That is why we don't own anything.
I said that the American government likes to gaslight us. Yeah, they have gaslit us to actually thinking that we own our shit, but the reality of it is we lease that shit. So in America, if your home is paid in full and you just so happen to lose your job and you can't pay your property taxes, guess what? They will take your home. One of my videos is this, and I'm going to quote my friend Thorin. Right now, none of us need to be Republican or Democrat. Right now, we all need to be Americans. Knowledge is power, my friends.
That is very, very true. Americans should start to realize that they're all Americans and stop fighting and bickering over, oh, you're leftist or you're right wing. No, that doesn't exist. Your two parties are not two parties. They are one party with two different names. They are working together to keep all the other alternatives out of the government so they can do whatever they need to do in order to please their donors. That's how it is. They both work together. And they're always making it look like, oh yeah, they're doing it. Like example for right now. Oh yeah, Biden is responsible for what happened there in the Middle East. And Trump says, well, I'm going to clean it up now. Bro, wake up. They are working together. That was the plan all the way. Because who's going to get the contracts? Yeah, now you get it. Anyway, we continue.
Division is a tool of the empire. Understand the power that we, the people, hold. Are you ready? All right.
This one is quite funny. I had to turn off the music. I'm sorry.
I've been kind of floating around on REDNOTE for the last couple of days and has really opened my eyes to how much anti-Chinese propaganda has been fed to us by the Canadian US government over the last several decades. I don't think the Chinese government is perfect. However, I do think that they are a lot more community focused and focused on bringing the whole country up rather than focusing on a few rich individuals and allowing them to do whatever they want, even if it's to the detriment of their own citizens.
The Communist Party of China, obviously it is not perfect. No government is perfect, but I always say, if we look from it from our perspective, from living in the West, man, they are next to perfect. They do so much for their citizens. I always ask the people, what was the actual tangible thing that your government has done for you that you still can remember until today? And nobody can come up with something which is really, really tangible that changed our lives for the better. Ask it the Chinese people, and they come with lists you have no idea of.
I also understand that there is still poverty and there is still homelessness in China. However, their rates are shrinking while in Canada, where I live, and the United States, they are growing. People can afford groceries and housing for the most part in China, where that is an issue that is getting much, much more prominent in Canada and the United States. And people talk a lot about how the Chinese don't have freedom of speech, and I guess technically they don't. And they talk about how they're censored from the rest of the world. And people have theorized that the reason that Meta and Google have been banned is because the government wants to shield and
Yeah, that's not entirely true. So the people in China, they are allowed to go on all other media platforms like TikTok or like YouTube or Twitter, whatever it is. But they need to use a VPN, and that's about it. The firewall was actually to keep those companies out of China because they cannot abide by Chinese law. And as a social media platform, then you need to abide by the Chinese laws, especially the censor laws, right? And if they don't want to do that, then they're not welcome. If they want to do that, then they are welcome. And also, like Facebook, they actually committed crimes in China, which actually cost human lives, their lives. and that is the reason why they got banned, because the government asked them to assist against terrorism, and Meta didn't want to do that. And so they said, well, then you are becoming a threat to us, because those groups that were committing attacks inside of China were using Facebook Messenger. That is why they got banned.
Shelter their citizens from seeing what's going on in the rest of the world and the realities of the rest of the world. But I don't think that's true. I think the Chinese government just put their foot down with Google and Meta and said, you cannot do whatever you want in our country.
Yeah,
and if you
definitely
are going to try to do that, you can get the fuck out. And they got out. And this is just my theory based on reading the terms of service on REDNOTE, because on REDNOTE, it explicitly says you can't spread misinformation. It says you cannot get online and give medical advice if you're not a medical doctor.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. I think it is not allowed to spread misinformation. That is why you don't have the Chinese people living in China. They're not unaware of what's happening in the world. They actually are very, very much aware, even more aware than we living in the West, because we don't even know what is true anymore when we look at the news, right? You don't know anymore. Every time I need to check everything. It's almost a day job.
Doctor. I find it really interesting that we think that censorship is not being allowed to just say whatever you want and claim it as fact and fool a whole bunch of people. I actually kind of think that's a good thing. And if that
it is a good thing, and especially when it comes to politics or health, right? Because when it comes to politics and the people have not been given the correct information, then their decision, which they initially would make with the correct information, is actually being altered. And therefore, they are not making a decision based on free will. And that is actually undermining democracy. So by allowing misinformation, you are undermining democracy. So that is the problem that we have with freedom of speech that they say, which I really don't believe in, because they will censor you when you are talking about certain topics that they don't want other people to listen to. And our own social media platforms also have their own TOS. So why can they infringe on my rights to freedom of speech, but a government cannot? Right? Just think of that kind of a little thing. And when it comes to doctors and health, obviously it's, you should not be spreading misinformation about health issues. There are people who are just blindly going to believe you, especially when they are really, really sick and they just want to stop the suffering and whatever they think would help. Then you come on the screen and start blowing smoke up their behind, and they're going to try something which make their sickness maybe even worse. So don't do that, please. Anyway, we're going to keep it like that. We're going to finish the video.
That's the kind of censorship that we would need in order to have affordable groceries and housing. Give me the fucking censorship.
Yeah. Anyway, that was it. Let me know in the comment section what you all thought of this. I thought just doing something else to show the side of the Americans after they came to Xiaohongshu. Anyway, I'm excited to hear of you all what you think of this. Have a great day. Don't forget to like, share, and everything.